Hi everyone, my name is Patricia and I'm a postdoctoral researcher at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. In this talk, I'm going to tell you about how to authenticate users with brainwaves and what users think about this type of technology. This is joint work with my colleagues at the University of Mannheim and at Castel KIT. Passwords are the dominant solution to prove our identities. Despite their poor usability, research has shown that we can't cope with the memorability and complexity requirements of handling so many passwords, and they are ubiquitous despite the security problems are rampant, and we see this every day in the news. But there are alternatives, such as, for example, biometrics. Our bodies are rich sources of information, which makes it possible to identify users by something they are. And this can be a physiological trait, like a fingerprint, but also a behavioral trait, like the way we walk or the way we type on a keyboard. And biometrics have the advantage that you don't have to remember any complex secret. The field has been flourishing in the last decade, mostly due to important advances in sensors capabilities and portability, and also due to advances in computing power and algorithms for data processing. In this context, we wanted to explore brainwaves as biometrics. Brainwaves are electrical activity that appears in the brain as a result of the interaction between neurons, and they have distinctive features, both due to genetic factors like the folding of the cortex, but also due to behavioral factors like, for example, the way we process information based on our previous experience. They also have advantages with regard to traditional biometrics, like, for example, they are not observable from the outside, which means that you cannot use them to identify users without consent, and they provide intrinsic liveness detection. Also, brainwaves can be implicitly and easily sent by placing electrodes on the scalp. Here you can see different type of electroencephalogram readers. On the left side, we have a medical grade device. These type of devices are more accurate, but they are also more expensive and cumbersome to set up. And honestly, I cannot imagine myself wearing these just to get in my email account. But most of the research so far has been done with this type of headsets. On the other side, we have consumer-grade devices that were introduced in 2007, and these type of devices, despite being less accurate, have the advantage that they are cheap and they are easier to use, and in fact, they are already being used for gaming and other entertainment applications. So we wanted to explore if it is possible to achieve accurate authentication with this type of consumer devices and how would users perceive them. How did we approach these questions? We set the goal to build a biometric system, starting with the generation of brain material that is useful for authentication. So we created tasks based on stimuli presentation, and then we measured brain reactions with a consumer device with 14 electrodes, and then we followed the classic pipeline for biometric systems to filter out noise, extract relevant features, and then train and test classifiers to tell legitimate and impostor users apart. We recruited 52 participants that came to our lab, most of them self-identifying as males and young. We recorded their brain activity while performing 5 authentication tasks based on visual and textual stimuli, and then we used their data to build classifiers and evaluated them through false acceptance and false rejection rate metrics. After the data acquisition was completed, we also conducted a survey that included closed questions on Likert scales about the enjoyability, required attention, and appealing to repeat on a daily basis for each authentication task that we then analyzed for statistically significant differences. And we also included open questions to explore what users think about potential problems and suggestions for improvements of this type of authentication systems. And we analyzed these answers with qualitative data analysis techniques. Now, let me give you an idea of how we designed the authentication tasks. This is an example of a task based on images, and we built it on the oddball paradigm from neuroscience that says that if we show a sequence of standard elements like the gray rectangles here to a user, and in the middle of this sequence, we include some rare stimuli like the red rectangles that appear infrequently, then whenever the infrequent stimulus appear, we would get a specific response in the brain similar to this shape that peaks at around 300 milliseconds. And this is the type of reaction that we used for our classification mechanism. So we leverage this paradigm to build our authentication, one of our authentication tasks in the following way. We let the user choose an image, like a kind of password, and then we showed her a sequence of random images. In between them, there was infrequently the selected image. So they would see something like this, and we would get our reaction whenever the selected image appeared. We also built some other tasks based on semantic processing of images, words, and sentences. We analyzed the performance of all the different tasks, but here, for the sake of brevity, I will just tell you about the main results. Everything is detailed in the paper. So our best performing task was looking at a sequence of familiar and unfamiliar faces. And let me come back to the original research question. Is it possible to achieve accurate authentication with consumer devices? Our results show that we can obtain an average equal error rate. So the point where the false acceptance and the false rejection rates are minimum, equal to 14.5%, which already improves related work significantly, as the equal error ranges there vary from 22 to 26% with less participants. And these results are actually comparable to those obtained with medical grade devices. But if we look at practical applicability, we don't operate at equal error rates, but at a configuration point where the false acceptance rate is lower than the false rejection rate to minimize the probability of having imposter success in the system. And here, the values we have so far can be and need to be improved. However, we report our results assuming that the attacker reacts to the same stimuli as the legitimate user, which is not always the case if the stimuli are properly selected. For example, familiar faces to the legitimate user might not be familiar to the attacker. And so we expect that the error rates can be reduced with personalized stimuli. And what about the user study results? Here, the quantitative questions show that faces, looking at familiar and unfamiliar faces, was the best rated task for all the three dimensions: enjoyability, attention, and repeatability. We also observed that visual stimuli are preferred to textual stimuli. With regard to the qualitative questions about problems and improvements, we got feedback regarding the overall system, the authentication task, the devices, and brainwaves. And the main insights are that users would like to have simpler headsets with less electrodes and easier to handle. They also pointed out that authentication must be quick, or otherwise it wouldn't be acceptable. They were worried about the stability of brainwaves, considering that maybe under different circumstances like stress or being tired could affect the performance of the system. And they were concerned with privacy, not only about the problem of reading their mind or inferring attributes or information from the brainwaves, but also about potential manipulation. And with this, I would like to wrap up my presentation. As a summary, we contribute to the field of biometrics with a comprehensive analysis of stimuli response brain authentication techniques, both from the point of view of performance and usability. We show that it's feasible to authenticate users with consumer devices, and we collect user insights that are useful to design future prototypes. We also publish our experiment material in the dataset, And we think that these results may be applicable in scenarios where users are already wearing a neuro headset, where authentication needs to be hands-free. One such case could be, for example, virtual reality, where passwords are totally impractical and vendors are already including EEG sensors in the headsets. As future directions that are worthy of being explored, we think that the performance robustness of brainwave authentication needs to be explored out of the lab. Then we also consider that multimodal authentication can improve the accuracy. So, for example, including other traits like eye tracking. And finally, it is crucial to investigate the privacy implications of collecting and using brainwaves for providing user applications. So thank you very much for listening, and I would be very happy to answer your questions. Thanks.